Your Limitless Wrestling hard-to-handle main event is a tag team match scheduled for one fall. Introducing team number one in the corner to my left at a total combined weight of 427 pounds. First, currently on loan from the Minnesota Boxing and Wrestling Club, he is former WWF Hall of Famer Sidney Bakabella. His tag team partner is currently on loan from the Dallas Wrestling Office, world-class Channing Thomas.
Ricky Morton, not a fan of the Dallas Wrestling Office, apparently.
Certainly not.
Their opponents, to my right, from the volunteer state of Tennessee. At a total combined weight of 415 pounds, first I present to you the current NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, Kerry Morton. And his tag team partner is his father. He is a current member of the WWE Hall of Fame. He is a former 9-time co-holder of the World Tag Team Championship. He's one half of the Rock and Roll Express. This is Ricky Morton.
I gotta say, Johnny, so many factors lean on the side of the Mortons going into this matchup. You have a current WWE Hall of Famer. You have the cohesion of a father and son. You have an incredibly skilled tag team competitor who has won multiple championships many times over. And then you have Channing and Sidney.
Channing Thomas, multitude of tag teams under his belt. We remember Prestigious. Didn't go well at the end, but for a while, advantageous. Sidney Bakabella, hailing from Minnesota. No shortage of hotbed wrestling up that way. Donning the Windy City wrestling jacket, claiming Chicago as well as a second home. Sidney Bakabella, in his one-strap singlet, cannot be underestimated. Potentially is forgotten more than many of us remember. But Ricky Morton, that is a day one guy for every pro wrestling school trainee. You ask your trainers who to watch. Well, Ricky Morton. But Sidney's
getting his feathers ruffled. As fans are saying that he's
what?
I mean, colloquial term for being a coward.
Oh.
Certainly, I think that really bugged Sidney.
Under the skin of both Channing Thomas and Sidney Bakabella.
And usually, Johnny, we see Sidney Bakabella providing the mentorship and the tutelage and the managerial expertise to Channing Thomas, but in that moment, Channing Thomas had to calm down Sidney Bakabella.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm saying before, you can't count out Sidney Bakabella. He taught Gary Albright how to shoot a single leg, and he taught Dan Hodge how to shake a hand.
He certainly has traveled and made the towns. He has, explored the territories and picked up so much along the way, but I don't know, the fans here are erupting with the rock and roll chants.
Sidney Bakabella halfway to the oh God.
Everybody chants rock and roll. We will leave and you don't get a main event. You got it? No one says it.
Sidney, don't you dare.
Wow. Are Yarmouth faithful not heeding the pleas?
They're calling Sidney's bluff.
Kick every one of them out. Every one of them ejected.
What, Rich? Rich is being given the task of kicking every one of them out.
I also don't think we can do that. These are paying fans that want to see a main event matchup.
Rich isn't going to throw them out. Craziness. Channing Thomas, Sidney Bakabella, unglued, coming a little more unhinged with each passing second. Kerry Morton ready to go.
Yeah, Kerry Morton with the formal invitation, sitting on that middle rope, inviting them in to start this matchup.
No, when you think about it, it's a very evenly divided contest here. You have the two rising up-and-comers, decorated in their own right, and then you have the two Hall of Famers.
Well, one's a former Hall of Famer.
Right. WWF
Semantics.
versus WWE, yes. Now, the bell rings. After much ballyhoo, your hard-to-handle main event underway. Referee Nate Speckman, he's got a full plate ahead of him here.
Not an enviable task, especially when Bakabella and Channing Thomas are involved.
I gotta wonder if they're gonna leave clause is still in effect. And now Ricky Morton, Channing Thomas, starting us off, picking up where they left off from earlier.
Ah. And did you see Ricky Morton was actually trying to force Channing Thomas's hand to tag Sidney Bakabella?
Yes, I did. Really wants to see what that WWF Hall of Famer is made of. Whoa,
Sidney,
wait a minute.
Sidney's coming into the matchup. Has Channing Thomas just done
channeling Rick Rude with the double bicep pose.
I love that he's squeaking as he's saying, do you want to see a real man? Oh, boy. Loading it up.
Here we are.
Elbow drop faded.
No water in the pool. Scoots his way back to world class.
Out of harm's way, and look, I think he might have done some damage to his elbow. He's got a boo-boo.
Oh, bone chips in the elbow. Shortened the career of the Ultimo Dragon.
You got to be just so very careful. There might be some rust on the wheels of Sidney Bakabella when it comes to in-ring competition, but there certainly is not in his tag team partner tonight.
No doubt about it. Channing Thomas, concern etched across that face, and Ricky Morton fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, Ricky Morton with that quick recovery, maybe he's been playing possum. Channing Thomas spoke ahead of this matchup about he knows that Ricky Morton can be crafty.
Yeah, he has no idea how crafty. Decades upon decades upon decades of experience. You had alluded to the multitude of championship runs earlier under Ricky Morton's belt. And now here comes Kerry.
Kerry Morton, again, just growing and learning ever so much, trying to become even as world traveled, not even just of his father, but world traveled for himself as a competitor. Has been doing so much to build his own name.
You know, I mean, at one point, you know, the tagging with your father, it's a bucket list checkoff. But you want to keep the bloodline going in that regard. Wants to stand on his own name as well. Doing so with that championship under his belt, and has a chance to do so in his Limitless Wrestling debut here in our main event. Snaps off the hip toss, Channing Thomas. That lower back. Second contest of the night for Channing Thomas.
Yeah, certainly. Oh, wow, Sidney Bakabella proclaiming, I'm not a wrestler.
Oh, he's modest.
I think he's just trying not to rumble the ire of Kerry Morton.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
I mean, we saw the depths that Sidney Bakabella was willing to go to potentially injure his father with those brass knuckles.
Right.
I don't think Kerry took too kindly to that, and he's now taking it out on Channing Thomas.
Yeah, it's going to be awful hard to punch with brass knuckles if your arm is falling apart.
And certainly even using his injured arm to anchor the arm of Channing Thomas was Kerry Morton.
Sidney quickly exiting that apron with just a glance.
But is it enough to pull the focus of Kerry Morton?
Right, you said it. Right there, jack of the jaw. Now, still shaking the feeling back into that arm. But momentum is shifting.
Clubbing blow between the shoulder blades of Kerry Morton.
Oh, and Kerry's still swinging boots at Sidney. Bad way for Kerry.
Damage has been done, but we're hearing again the calls of rock and roll. Can they help to rile the energy of Kerry Morton?
And Kerry Morton firing back with a series of left jabs. Finding the midsection.
Oh, jeez.
Back of the neck.
Yeah, using that momentum. And now Sidney tagged in, again, at the most opportune time after Channing Thomas does the work of laying out Kerry Morton.
And now Sidney, those well-honed stomps now being put into play.
tag
Quick
again
tags.
made. Gotta say though, Johnny, Channing and Sidney are working very seamlessly together, keeping one another fresh, but it does seem like Sidney's just coming in after Channing Thomas has laid out the opponent.
I mean, we don't love the tactics, but we see where he's coming from in that regard. Sidney Bakabella has been a spectator to tag team wrestling as a manager for how many years now? Formerly the manager of the Devastation Corporation. He has seen tag team wrestling at its finest, be it in the territories or more recently. Imparting all that wisdom on Channing Thomas, they've cut the ring in half. Kerry Morton is a long crawl away from Ricky.
Dangerously close for Kerry Morton, trying to summon some energy. Now another tag made.
Fluid tag work here.
Ooh, doubling over the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champ Kerry Morton. And so wisely, keeping him prone with a boot across the throat. Now Ricky coming in, trying to come to the aid of his son.
To no avail, Kerry Morton drops near lifeless to the canvas. Sidney Bakabella, for somebody with ring rust on him to such an extent, his sole focus is driving the air out of the windpipe at Kerry Morton.
I mean, I suppose it's like riding a bike for Sidney Bakabella, all coming back to him. As soon as he steps into the ring, we're seeing some signs of life, but now Kerry Morton trying to use the ropes to get to a vertical base, but he shrugs off Channing Thomas.
Now between that and the Yarmouth faithful support, Kerry back in it. Here comes Ricky.
Tag has been made. Now Ricky Morton just watched what his son went through at the hands of Channing Thomas and Sidney Bakabella.
Firing off the jabs.
Oh, and bringing Sidney Bakabella into the ring as well.
The hard way. And now Sidney. All four men in the ring. The pair of Irish whips.
Oh, and colliding in the center of the ring are Bakabella and Thomas. The Canadian Destroyer! Are you kidding?
Got all of it. Channing Thomas spiked on the top of his head. Little rock and roll on that Canadian Destroyer. Now Kerry and Ricky. Ricky's got the brass knuckles.
We saw him tuck them into his boots after the matchup earlier.
Nate Speckman, just turn around for a second. Close your eyes, Nate.
Pleading for his life potentially. Oh gosh!
Oh, the syrup! The syrup has been removed!
And now Ricky Morton wearing the hairpiece, the cover, he's rolled back, that's it!
Here are your winners, the team of Kerry and Ricky Morton!
Johnny, ahead of this match,